Welcome to our one-on-one video series and the third and part of a three-part series covering the recently revised as well as new ICH guidelines for risk-based quality management, or RBQM. The topics of each will be ICH E8R1, ICH E6R3, and ICH Q9. I'm joined by Tim Auden, Senior Director, Risk Management, and Amy Kassam-Sands, Senior Vice President, Clinical Operations. And today we are discussing ICH Q9, which ICH Q9 focused on quality risk management. And the Q9 concept paper endorsed in November 2020 states that the benefits of quality risk management have not yet been fully realized. 4 subject areas are under scrutiny, and revisions may influence how we apply and perform risk management in clinical trials in accordance with E8R1, sections 3.2 and 3.3. Among these, the most relevant to clinical trial design and conduct will be considerations of the subjectivity of risk-based assessment or scoring, the level of formality required to perform risk management, and what good risk-based management decision-making actually looks like. Wording in the Q9 concept paper suggests an emphasis on the manufacturing side of clinical development, but it's worth noting that the guideline applies to all aspects of clinical trials and will offer important considerations that complement content in ICH Q10 pharmaceutical quality system. Amy, as ICH Q9 has not been released, what specific areas do you anticipate it impacting?
Yeah, Taryn, I think overall we can expect some general principles on what's meant by quality risk management, or QRM. The guideline really provides us a list of those risk tools and systems that need to be established in maintaining an effective risk management program. And over the past several years, the industry has really tried to implement a QRM as part of their quality management systems. However, some of those implementations have used simple investigational tools to solve simple problems. In the industry and within the industry, we've struggled sometimes to provide data or metrics that really demonstrate that the information from these investigations or audits have been used to really affect what we would typically call effective continuous improvement. And the QRM tends to justify actions instead of assessing risk and making effective QRM processes or changes. I really think to accomplish this vision, or making appropriate, acceptable risk-based decisions, QRMs need to be iterative. They're not a once and done exercise within a quality management system. An effective QRM system is implementing a risk review program. It's facilitating continuous improvement efforts. And I think that's what you're going to get in Q9. I think in order for this, we have to look at driving holistic system approaches. We need to clarify the difference between risk evaluations and risk controls, define what those roles are for those decision makers or the ones that need to make sure that they make immediate action, and really provide some more guidance around risk acceptance. Part of that is really up to making sure that we look at this of what's important for our regulators and how they can provide some clarity around the things that I just mentioned, and really understand what do we need to do with the advancements of technology and clinical development, and that landscape that will continue to change. We need to manage these risks, and the risks will continue to be transforming. And I think with Q9, we need to continue to look at the advancements and how we make some clarifications for the industry on true practices of QRM.
Excellent. I love that, true practices of QRM. And Tim?
Yeah, good points, Amy. You know, as Parexel's head of risk management, we've obviously been on a journey, as many companies have. As you say, risk management is a hot topic in the organisation and across the industry, has been for many years. E6R2 brought that to the fore with regard to how we apply it in our clinical trial settings. And now, as we've been discussing with E8R1 and E6R3, there's a big emphasis, continued emphasis on further defining risk management practices. The revision to Q9 will certainly provide some opportunity again for people to take a step back and look at what it is we do with regard to our approach to risk management. The discipline of risk management isn't as straightforward as what it can, because whilst Q9 provides many alternative methods and methodologies to apply, it isn't a one-size-fits-all across an organization, across the industry, across companies. Everybody seems to have a slightly different approach. There is some commonality. ISO helps on that front as well, but again, it's open to interpretation. And this is an ideal time now to again be looking at what it is that Q9 is focusing on, as you've described, and also taking into account the fact that we've, across the globe, gone through the COVID pandemic, which has highlighted the need for corporate resilience, for proactive risk management. And you've got Brexit in Europe. You've got significant regulatory changes beyond ICH. You've got things like the EU medical device regulation. There are so many things going on that mean we have to have robust risk management processes in place, and that those processes are understandable for everybody. They're executable, they are flexible, and as Amy says, you can learn from them. It's not just a tick box exercise. Again, everybody's involved. So what is the risk management context for your organization? In our industry, for our organization, the context is around safe delivery of clinical trials for our patients, and providing reliable and a good level of data integrity in order to meet submission requirements. So we understand what the context is for risk management in our industry. We've then got to understand the context internally and with our external stakeholders as well, our shareholders, the sponsors, etc. It's about having that full awareness of risk management. But then when you look at the different techniques that are available, you choose what's right for your organization. You shouldn't be forced into one particular approach, but at the same time, don't become obsessive with risk so that it bogs you down and stops you doing what you need to do day to day. You've got to have a good balance, and this is where Q9 is challenging everybody to think about. What's the amount of formality we have in our process? Are we in a position to make quick decisions? Can we move agilely through our process, or are we taking too long to think things through? And when we are thinking things through, are we doing that with bias? Have we got a degree of subjectivity in what we're doing? Is our human behavior and our own attitude to risk causing problems? And again, it's having that awareness and not just being focused on risk. You've got to understand how you contribute to the process. That's really important.
Excellent. I'm going to put you both on the hot seat for a quick second here. Are there new skills that are going to be needed as we continue to navigate through these changes? And what might those be? Amy?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that certainly as the industry and clinical development continues to change, we see an amazing explosion of data, right? And how we manage data and what's the risk behind them. So if we look at who are the individuals that need to have to interpret that data and what that means, you're talking about a different skill set. You're talking about more of analytics, understanding holistically what does cause and effect mean. We have not done a great service for us in the industry where we have kind of parceled individuals into different functional units or how that works. We have to teach more of stepping back to look holistically, an end-to-end approach. And then also, so having that skill set of what does that mean from an end-to-end approach as we move from study start to study execution to study close. But then also is the data. what does data mean? So that can be very complex. Looking at algorithms, looking at thresholds, does that have a significance value? Is it something that, yes, it's an issue, but it doesn't have a great impact? So that's a different type of mindset. It's a different type of thinking. And I think that from a skill set and core competencies, two areas. It's holistic end-to-end thinking about clinical development as it relates to patient safety and data integrity. And it's another skill set in regards to how they look at data, how they devise it, and how they look at the impact on that to take actions to it.
Tim, your final thoughts?
Yeah, so just to build on that, what I see is if you have a really integrated framework in your organization and you can start to educate employees from the top level, from the leadership team all the way down to the people who are running the clinical trials, that are going to the sites, that are running the projects, that are talking to the sponsors, etc. If they get that understanding and again the context of risk management in their organization, it's a great opportunity to really understand the skills required to be a proactive risk manager, and to not just focus on, I've got this risk for me and I'm going to deal with it and move on. But if you can understand then that that information, that knowledge may be important to somebody else, and and as Amy says, there's a lot of data analytics coming in now to risk, and that is the way forward. It rolls up, and then you can start to build up a picture of, well, if this is happening on, or potentially a risk on one trial, how could it affect a suite of trials, a program? How does it potentially impact then your business units, or however your organization is set up? And from there you can start to engage your senior executives, and help them understand what's going on across the organization. And it comes back to then continuous improvement, change management, and that helps the organization get better. So you're moving away from your firefighting modules and you're moving more into proactive risk, and then the skill sets evolve. Your communication starts to improve, your analytical skills improve, and it's just the same as you would have in real life. You know, you jump into your car, you don't necessarily think about it because it's something you do naturally. There are other things that you do. Maybe you're going to sign up to do a bungee jump or something like that, and that's where you'll put some extra effort in. And it's been able to take those skills for everyday life into the workplace, and then understand how that impacts different people that you work with, and that makes for a truly great employee regardless of your level.
Excellent. Thank you both so much. This has been a great conversation, and thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Great. Thank you, Taryn.
Thank you.